I finally made him. I was like, you need to tell me because you said once you have these things and now you realize you have them, you are successful. But if you keep on changing the line of success and not having it drawn out truly, you're always just going to be chasing the line.
Welcome to the Leading Lane podcast for real estate pros by real estate pros with your hosts, Ashley Frederick and Stephen Birch. If you're looking for an honest, authentic, and raw perspective, you found it.
All right. Welcome to the Leading Lane podcast. One of the topics that we're going to talk about today is being able to say that you are successful. I am successful. And really, I think it has a crazy negative taboo about you're not allowed to say you're successful for whatever reason. And people think it's, egotistical or self whatever it is. But I think that, one, for me specifically, it was, I don't really necessarily see everything that is going on that is happening. And I was always constantly on the go, still on the go. And I don't stop to pause to think, like, damn, I'm doing pretty damn well, right? I need to pat myself on the back and I need to be able to say I'm successful. I'm doing a good job. And really understanding that success is not a destination, it's really a journey, and you have to enjoy the journey of it as much as you can. There's turbulence, don't get me wrong, but I'm successful. Ashley, you're successful, right? But how does that feel now versus, when you first got into this industry, started going and looking back, being able to see and look at people saying that they're successful, maybe what your opinions of them were then versus kind of what is your opinion of it now?
Yeah, I think that like success, what that means is different for people too, right? I think that
Mhm.
some people get misled on what success means. So I think we've talked
Right.
like if it's the nice house or the nice car, it means that you're successful. When all reality, some of those people could be six digits in debt,
Mhm.
is that successful? So for me, I think I've always looked at when I was younger, like looked at people that were busy. I would probably say in the past, I used to think about if you had nice things, that meant that you were successful. I think I have found that that is not true for everyone. Even our financial advisors will say that some of their wealthiest clients, you would never know. Like they have the Taurus, they have the house that they bought in the 70s, right?
Right.
So I think that that's like a misnomer. I think that maybe to work ethic is sometimes how I tried to equate success, which is probably what I still struggle with today. So in my brain, you have to be working like almost all the time, and then that
Mhm.
equals your worthiness, which I know is not true. We have to try to figure out how to reel that back. So I think when I saw people that were busy or whatnot, that meant it was successful too. But I mentioned before that I met someone that I graduated with earlier this week to show them a property, and they made some comment about like it sure looks like you're doing well for yourself and things are going really well. And I said like, yeah, who would have thought? And we
Mhm.
kind of laughed, but I think that's funny because like people are allowed to change and people don't necessarily have the same personalities, the same. I mean, I say I'm not who I was in high school. I wish I could have the
Mhm.
same confidence that I do now for the way that, some people acted. So I think that that's really just interesting how you morph over time and what that means. We were talking about a video where someone says like, "Hi, I'm so and so," and the other person says like, "Hi, I'm successful,"
Mhm.
and like how weird that is to actually say something. So I think really like what defines it is that like if you're happy with what everyday life means to you, like it's not necessarily a numerical figure that makes you successful.
Mhm.
I think it's and we've talked about that before. Like some people have quit high paying jobs in order to be happy and to not be so
Mhm.
stressed. So I think it is a matter of like being happy with who you are, where you're at, who you're with. Um, and for me also, it's like the ability to give back in some sense means success to me.
Absolutely. And I wrote down happy people are always successful.
Hmm.
Successful people are not always happy. And
So true.
I think that is wild, like of, chasing the checks. That's what, that you think that you have to do. You have to work so hard. You have to hustle. You have to have the grit. You have to go, 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 do more, more, more. But I don't think that that does not drive the happiness. I think that maybe masks what is truly going on, and you're suppressing what is truly going on. And when you can evolve into the person that you want to be and making sure that you're being happy yourself first, the success travels afterwards with that. And I think then that propels you. Because I too used to think that it needs to be the big house and nice cars and luxury vacations and the showy glam of everything. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I need vacations. Don't get me wrong. I like nice things. But that's not what drives the success. And I think that's where people actually, they don't ever stop to be able to say, like, pause and say, yes, I'm good, because they're always going to chase it. And because you're chasing it, you're now putting yourself in a position and a finance side of things that you actually might be hindering what that bottom line actually looks like. And then now, if you're unhappy, trying to be successful, you're unhappy and you have some financial issues, and then compound those two together, we're really, contradicting of what we're trying to put the facade on to the public. Like, it doesn't, there should be no facade. There should be no number that needs to be in your bank account that says that you are happy. If you're happy, that's the most important thing, in my opinion. And it's taken me a very, very, very long time to be able to learn that and truly live that. And it comes with boundaries. And honestly, I think it comes with a lot of the self reflection too. Um, I have a client that I'm working with that, while we're talking, and he's like, I want to be successful. I want to be successful. So, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, what? Okay, first, what is success to you? Because that's, I mean, like you said, that's totally different from one person to the next. And I said, I want bullet points. I want, don't tell me the fluff of all of these things that you think, like, that you want to throw on there. Like, what are the bullet points that make you successful, period? And I made him list them out. And when we got done with it, he was like, huh, because was able to check box each of those now because he already had it. And I was like, so now that you have these and we've identified it, what it was, what does that mean? And it took him so long to be able to say that he was successful, because it was almost this hindrance of he wasn't worthy enough to be able to say that at that point. And I finally made him, I was like, you need to tell me, because you said once you have these things and now you realize you have them, you are successful. But if you keep on changing the line of success and not having it drawn out truly, you're always just going to be chasing the line.
Hmm.
Live on the line and make sure that you know that you are successful. And believe it or not, he wrote a blog about it, right, and published it and sent it out to everybody. When I got that in my inbox, I was like, holy hell, that's a huge freaking step of being able to say that, being able to send it out to who knows who's on your actual email list here, but kudos, right? Like, being able to say that out loud is a huge step, and almost it's exhilarating and scary all at the same time, right?
I think you just
So,
never know who's listening or watching, right? So I think like
mhm,
I read it and I was like, I like totally can relate, right? So there might be someone
mhm,
else that is struggling to appreciate that or to feel that, but I think it is important. The pause, I think we miss the pause a lot. I think we forget to reflect on everything that we have done, or that we're just so busy. You just keep on tackling the next project before you actually realize, like, holy crap, I accounted for all of that in the last year or the last
mhm,
5 years. You know, like if we were to try to just go back to like what your life looked like maybe prior to COVID and what it looked like now. I mean, everyone had to make
right,
leaps and bounds in their businesses. They had to pivot. I think that was my favorite word at the time, was like, well, we're going to pivot again and we're going to pivot
mhm,
again. Right. And like all of that in its own form is success, like being able to pivot, being able to keep your business open, to continue
right,
to grow, all of those types of things. I think that we have to remember that success comes in many different forms, but we
mhm,
can't forget to look back and appreciate like what it took to get there either.
mhm. And that goes to, like, I know when I first started my journey on all of these things of self-growth and investing in myself. It was always said, and I know I said it on here before, but like, you are your business, right? So if there's no you, there is no business. And so if you are not successful as an individual, in theory, your business is not going to be successful either. And so, like, I think people try to look at, a real estate agent, like, let's say that they need to, they have to now do all of these calls. They have to do this, they have to do that. And they think that's all these actions, and there are actions that have to come along with this, the income producing actions, totally get it. But when you really pull it back and you get to see, like, what is it the reason why you are doing this, and what is it that you are truly after, not after on units and volume, but what is it after for you as an individual? And I think probably 8 out of 10 people, 9 out of 10 people can't identify what is it that they're truly doing. They just are constantly increasing that quota, constantly saying I need to sell more, constantly saying I need to make more. But what is it that you, as an individual, your compass, that is going to make sure that you're aligned with where you're going versus just continuously, again, moving that goalpost down the line? So it's not also doing more. Like, we don't need more. We just need intentionality of what makes you happy.
Well, I think, like, let's be honest, most times, like, when you make more, you spend more. That just tends to go hand in hand, right?
Yep.
So I think that, like, if people are trying to use numbers to justify, I don't think that that always works, but I think it does go back to putting yourself first. And if you're not putting the time and energy in, and we've been guilty of it, but, I know that people have postponed procedures and postponed doctor's appointments, like, all for an appointment. And I think when I was younger, I used to do that too. And I used to think that that meant that you were successful, or that, right, that you were doing the right things to be successful,
Right.
because you were giving up yourself, if you will, to put someone else forward. And over time, I have learned how detrimental that actually is. And if those
Mm-hmm.
clients can't wait or won't understand, like I've always said, that those are not the clients I want to work with. If they don't understand that I'm going to be out for 3 days because I'm sick or I'm gone, or that I, deserve to take a vacation just like everybody else
Right.
does, then those just
Mm-hmm.
aren't the best clients.
No. When you're talking about numbers and associating, one of the things that has I really struggled with is I used to think that money equals the value, right? Like, by either receiving the money or making the money, but also too on the flip side of that, of giving money, as far as making sure that we're paying for the dinner for, agents, or paying for the signs, paying for, I felt that I had to pay and give so much because that's what I related to value. And the value really is not the money, even though that it has a monetary value. The value really is the connection and the meaningful and the happiness, and developing the relationship. That's the true value. And I think that then, once I was able to shift that I don't have to pay for everything for everybody, I don't have to do all of that for them and make them more money. But once I create the relationship and really nurture that, as far as my agents, my staff, my team, then that is the value that I get. That's the value they get as well. And then again, the money follows, which then drives success because I'm happy with my team. My team is happy with me. So I think it all correlates to one another. And who would have thought there would have been so deep rooted things that from
Off of,
childhood of
off of one
what
word.
how we're, yeah, like how we view things in life, and how that still relates over into business. So again, self-reflection, understanding what is the driving factor for whatever your thoughts are on success or value or money, right? Like all of it. So how does that really work? Because also with the same thing, breath of that, I always thought money was bad because you can't make too much money. That's the way that it was instilled in me growing up. Like, don't show that you have money. You can't make too much money. That's not that I wasn't worthy of it, but it almost made me feel an ick of, now that I'm making money, even though I feel that I'm successful in one breath, but made me feel ick because money's bad. Money's kind of the demon of it all.
It's funny, especially being in real estate now, but growing up, we always referred to like one neighborhood as Snob Hill, and it
Hmm.
was right, like because it was, big houses, which now those houses are like a normal a
Hmm.
normal house, you know what I mean? But it was kind of funny, like even when you were little, like they just automatically got lumped into this snob hill because they had a nice car. And again, like you don't or a nice house, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. So I think it's funny how you grow up in a certain small town USA and same thing, and
Hmm.
people try to define your success for you. And it takes a
Hmm.
lot of doing your own thing to be able to define it yourself.
Hmm. Absolutely. So my takeaway for everybody that's listening, number one thing is truly sit down and define, what does success look to you? What is success for you? Not anybody else, not society's definition of what success should be like, not what your parents think it should look like, not what your spouse thinks that it should look like. What does success look like to you? And truly see if there's anything of, numbers, of dollar signs, anything like that that is tied to it. And if so, scratch those out and continue on. What does it mean aside from the metrics, right? Metrics do matter, but not in this to define success as you as an individual and you as for your business. So that's what I would say. What would you tell somebody like going through this journey, just like what you have? What would you tell them to reflect on and how to evolve to being confident in saying that they are successful?
Yeah, that's tough. I think that you really have to take a hard look at like who you want to be as a human. Like what is your
Mm.
ultimate goal? Like,
Yeah.
where do you want to end up at the end, but also who you're taking along with you, I think also can
Mhm.
define success as to who you spend your time with, who gets your energy, where are you pouring your energy? Like those things to me all help define success. And I think just being able to make an impact is something we don't talk about either. And impact is
Mhm.
not necessarily monetary, but it's even like we talk
Right.
about with the podcast, right? Like I find it a success because people come up to us at conference and will say, this one episode made me do this, or I changed that. And like to me, that's a success. So I
Mhm.
think just trying to figure out what success means to you, like you said, and knowing that it can be all kinds of things. It can be, again, impacting people. It can be monetary if that's what it means to you. It can be the right job, the right vacation, those types of things. But really, what brings you happiness at the end of the day, and then what can you do to amplify that so you have it more?
When you were talking about the who you have around you, we talked about that a lot, right? I remember there was a time, like, I can't remember what we were doing or why, but we were kind of hanging around our island at our house. We had people over, and it got kind of quiet, like that awkward, like, where's the conversation go next? And I just out of the blue said, like, what does success mean to you, right? Like, what makes you happy? And there was these guys, bikers that were there, and they were like, what? And I made each person go around, right? Like I asked these random questions at the random times, and I made each person say what success means to them, what brings them happiness. And then later on, one of them came up to me and was like, nobody has ever done that for me. Nobody has ever asked questions and position it that way, right? So I think that even to once you figure out what your success is, if you can challenge other people around you, because you want to make sure that their successes and their goals, aspirations in life, you want them to align with what yours are. They don't need to be the same, but are you driving each other to go the same direction and challenging one another to being better humans, better individuals in whatever industry you may be? It just goes back down to the human and helping one another out for sure.
Definitely.
Good, good chat. I'm successful. You're successful. And I love it being able to say that. So we appreciate everybody that tunes in. We appreciate all the messages and the comments. Keep them coming. If you guys have any topics or want to be a guest, please reach out to us. We would love to hear from you.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share with others. Stay connected for more genuine insights and strategies to boost your real estate career on Facebook or check out our website. We'll see you next time.